people, we believe, inside the car. You can see it's a Mercedes with heavily tinted windows. This is apparently a stolen vehicle, a suspected stolen vehicle with GTA suspects inside. Again, they are believed to be armed and dangerous as they twist and turn through here, making these turns up, just trying to lose those black and whites. Once again, coming eastbound on 70th Street. Coming back out onto Estrella. Again, this is just to the west of the 110 freeway in LAPD's Southwest Division, making his way further south here, and now looking to make a turn, a right turn, going westbound on Florence Avenue. So he's basically doing circles down here in this part of South LA. Again, all of these turns just very last minute, just trying to lose those 4 units right behind him, guys.
All right, and you see, look at all the pedestrians that are out there. This is the time of day you will see people, of course, out walking on the street. Traffic will be fairly heavy, as we see at this intersection of Florence. Not sure what the cross street is. You can tell us. Florence and Hoover.
Florence and Hoover making a left turn through heavy traffic there. Heavy traffic, lots of cross traffic through the red light with pedestrians crossing the street. As you mentioned, Mark, lots of people out and about on a Thursday afternoon. That actually looked like a group of school children with backpacks on, and now he's hitting another slowdown here. Wouldn't be surprised if he crosses those double yellow lines, squeezing through here once again, speeding through. He has the green light there, but he's not even looking. He has no regard for most of these traffic signals, just speeding at 60 miles per hour southbound on Hoover Street, coming up on 79th Street, and he is continuing to push the pedal to the metal here. And if he continues at these speeds, they're going to have no choice but to pull back. LAPD has a real decision to make here, because they have 4 units involved. They are engaged in this pursuit, but if it gets too dangerous, the watch commander will call it off using his best judgment. But right now, they do have an air unit, at least, at their disposal, who has a pretty good view inside that vehicle using infrared technology. So he can actually see the driver putting a handgun under the seat, reaching for a weapon. He can see multiple people in there. They have just canceled this pursuit, so those 4 units behind him are now going to pull back completely, and they're going to let the air unit do the bulk of the work here as they try and track this vehicle back towards the 110 freeway here.
Well, he's driving recklessly. He or she, we don't know, driving recklessly, not slowing down, as you mentioned, on these city streets. It's always so nerve-wracking and troubling to watch this, because at any second, an accident can happen, a pedestrian can be hit. Do we know where this started, this pursuit?
I believe it started in this general vicinity in LAPD's Southwest Division, and it only started maybe a few minutes ago, probably roughly 5 to 8 minutes ago, and now you can see him starting to slow down. Look at this, really, really close calls here, not aware that this pursuit has been called off, but surely by now, if he looks in his rearview mirror, he's not going to see any other law enforcement behind him. Still, though, the hope when they do that, when they pull back and cancel the pursuit or put it into tracking mode, the hope is that the driver will calm down and kind of compose himself and maybe slow down a bit. However, we're not seeing that, and so the air unit is tracking these wild maneuvers, now paralleling the 110 freeway, coming up on he's southbound Flower, coming up on 88th Place, now underneath the 110 freeway. Wouldn't be surprised if he dumps the vehicle. Look at that, went under the freeway. There he is, coming out the other side, a much less traveled road here, adjacent to the 110 freeway. We're now on the east side of the 110 freeway. I wonder if he's looking for an opportunity to get onto an entrance ramp. If he is, there is one about a half mile in front of him here, but before that, it's really just surface streets.
Or maybe to ditch the car, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if the units were behind him, you kind of get the feeling, maybe, especially as he runs lower on fuel, that he might look for a spot to dump the vehicle and just run away, or look for a spot to hide. He might be less inclined to do that, thinking he's got a little less pressure on his tail now. Yeah. But maybe he's aware of the helicopters, maybe not. Either way, it has not really improved his driving. He's still driving aimlessly and recklessly through the streets of South LA, southbound on Broadway now, coming up on 95th Street at a relatively high rate of speed, although a little bit slower than he was a little bit earlier. So maybe it's having the desired effect of slowing him down slightly as he cruises at about 40 miles per hour now down Colden Avenue.
And a warning to people in this area who live here, who might be watching our broadcast, please go inside, stay inside, lock your doors. Because not only is he driving erratically, which presents a risk to people who are on the sidewalk or walking, if he does do a foot bail, he might be heading into your door. So you've got to really keep an eye on this and keep your doors and windows locked right now. Get inside, bring your kids inside. This is very dangerous. This person is believed to be armed, as we have been reporting, and has stolen this vehicle and is now trying to get away from police and driving erratically, even though police have backed off. Chris?
Yeah.
Right, and that erratic driving is what has prompted the police not only to back off on the ground, but believe it or not, the watch commander has given the order to call off the air unit as well. So they have decided that they are going to let this one go for all intents and purposes and call off the pursuit completely. They pulled off on the ground. You thought for sure that they would keep the air unit overhead. Look at this, going ahead and oncoming lanes of traffic, going around that traffic through a red light, now southbound on San Pedro Street. This is, again, despite the fact that there is nobody behind him, and now that LAPD air unit has been called off. You see him slowing down a little bit, but the driving is still reckless. But for all intents and purposes, this pursuit appears to be over, at least for the time being.
And that might be a very wise move, considering the time of day, the number of cars on the road, the number of people who could be walking, kids maybe walking home from school. Perhaps, or other activities. So again, it might be the smartest thing to do, the safest thing to do. And they likely will know where to find this car. Maybe it has a low jack. That's, a possibility.
That's a good
Mercedes,
possibility. That might very well be playing into their decision making here, because while I'm not surprised that they're pulling off based on the charges, I am surprised knowing that there's a gun in that vehicle and that he is armed. I'm a little bit surprised that they called the air unit off. However, if they have that low jack or that Mercedes technology that would allow the dealer, or the manufacturer rather, to track the vehicle, then maybe they are relying on that. We just don't know. And that would assume that they have been in contact with the owner of the vehicle. So sometimes that does explain it, and they may very well be tracking the vehicle using satellite technology, but it very well may be the case. It's a possibility that they are just calling this one off because it just got too dangerous. As you saw there, it looks like he is coming up. I thought it was a cul-de-sac. He's coming out the other side here now on Paloma Avenue, southbound, not doing anywhere near the speeds that he was just a few minutes ago when he had all those units behind him and was trying to evade them. You can see he slowed down quite a bit. I get the impression he's either going home or looking for a spot to dump the vehicle and hide out.
Well, he appears to be driving like he's very comfortable with this neighborhood. Based on the speeds that he's going, he seems to be weaving in and out of turning, right and left onto various streets as if he knows what's coming up.
I mean, he's doing a circle, in the last minute or so, he's done a full circle around this block, now on McKinley Avenue. Hard to say whether he is familiar. It seems like to me that most of these turns are random. If he had a destination in mind, you figure he would be going in one consistent direction. But these appear to be full loops in the same general area. Indicates he is comfortable, as you mentioned, but I don't know that he has any destination in mind, or if it's really just more of a joyride at this point, looking for a spot to dump the vehicle, as I said, or perhaps he's got other intentions. I don't see anybody in that passenger seat, so they were talking about multiple suspects. If there are other people, they appear to be in the back seat. I just didn't see anybody in the passenger seat through the front windshield there. But that driver now slowing down here, coming up on 98th Street. And is that traffic he's slowing down for, Josh, or is he just looking for a parking spot? No, he's got nobody in front of him here, just coming to a rest here as he probably takes a deep breath and maybe a sigh of relief from what we can gather here. But yeah, it just seems like he's making this up as he goes along still. Just more of a joyride at this point.
What we have seen recently, too, is that some pursuit suspects, many of them, in fact, have been in contact with other people who they will try to marshal their forces and help bail them out. We're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to see if this guy ends up, if he's trying to get somebody to help him out and maybe meet him somewhere where he can dump the car and get into another car and get away. We don't know if that's going to happen. It's happened before. But we are going to keep an eye on this. If we need to rejoin it, if it becomes dangerous again, we will get back to it. In the meantime, we will continue with the breaking news late today, late national news. Donald Trump indicted on criminal charges relating to his handling of classified documents.
He is the first former U.S. president ever to face a federal criminal indictment. ABC News reports there are at least 7 counts, including the willful retention of national defense information. For months, a special counsel has been looking into whether Trump broke the law by keeping hundreds of documents marked classified at his Florida home and whether he obstructed the government's efforts to recover them. Trump claimed.
I apologize, Christina. What was the last thing you said there?